All right. So good afternoon, everyone. Happy Wednesday. Thank you so much for coming to DCBF CIR November chat. My name's Matt Wagner. For those who have not met me, I am the Technology and Data Governance Specialist at DCBF, and I have the pleasure of hosting this month's CIR chat, in which we will be providing an update to the RFP process. And with that, I would like to introduce everyone to Fareed.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Matt. Appreciate it. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Fareed Ferozi. I'm the Director of Evaluation and Innovations with the DC Bar Foundation. As Matt said, the purpose of today's CIR chat is to share the foundation's plan to officially invite proposals from organizations interested in hosting the full launch of the CIR. We are currently in the process of developing the RFP, and as part of this process, we have engaged in a series of conversations with stakeholders and experts. Additionally, we had held 2 rounds of conversation sessions with interested organizations. One was held in October 16. The second one was held right before this meeting. And the purpose was to get their feedback so we can co-create this RFP in a way that meets the community needs. Today, we will share the draft RFP components in our envisioned program implementation model, and we'll invite your feedbacks. My colleague, Michael, who is a finance and procurement expert, will present details of the current draft RFP. Please feel free to ask questions and share your feedback. I think before I ask my colleague to start the actual presentation, let's quickly introduce ourselves. Again, I'm Fareed Ferozi, and I will pass it to Michael.
I hope you all can hear me. Michael Ward, a consultant working with the Bar Foundation for quite a few years now, almost 7 years, but working most recently on the CIR full launch. So really looking forward to our conversation today. Kira or Araceli?
Thank you, Matt, for unmuting me. Hi, I'm Araceli Gray. I'm the Director of Programs with the DC Bar Foundation. I'll turn it to Kira. Yes, Kira says we can't unmute.
Hey, this is Kira, CEO of the Bar Foundation, and maybe Fareed, you can let people know in what order you want them to introduce themselves so we can whip through this, if you can hear me. I know I'm having sound issues.
We hear you well.
Okay. Yeah, anyone introducing themselves can pass it to another person so we can, yeah.
Okay, I pass it to Frit, because I can see him.
Okay.
Okay, then I pass it to Kathy.
Thanks, Kira. Kathy Zeisel, Children's Law Center. I'll pass it to Jody because she came on camera.
Thank you, Kathy. Jody Feldman with the DC Courts and the Pro Bono Manager. I will pass it to Sasha.
Thanks, Jody. Hi, everyone. Sasha Drobnik. I'm the Appellate Litigation Director for Network for Victim Recovery of DC. And I will pass it to Cecilia.
Everyone, my name is Cecilia Barber. I'm Project Manager at the Neighborhood Legal Services Program, and I will pass it to Shubha.
Hi, I'm Shubha. I'm the legal specialist at the UDC Law Clinics. I'll pass it to Kasia, who's also at UDC.
Hi, I'm Kasia, and I'm the staff assistant for the clinical program at UDC.
I can go. My name's Nashra Ahmed. I work for the Asian Pacific American Legal Resource Center. And then I think that was everybody.
Yeah.
Except Fritz. He can introduce himself later.
Okay. Go ahead, Michael.
All righty. So I'm going to share my screen. Let me know when you all see it.
We see
I
it.
can see it.
Fantastic. Okay. So just to walk you through quickly our update here, I'm trying to figure out why is this not. Let me try it over here. All right. Sorry about that. Working through my technology. So just in terms of the overall approach, as we've been thinking about sort of where CIR is in its evolution, obviously it's something that's been building over a long period of time, but now that we're beginning to implement the pilot and really get our arms around it, it's something that's going to be a very collaborative process as we move into the next phase of rollout. And so we're going to structure the agreement with the host organization as a cooperative agreement. And that will sort of provide the right kind of structure for us to work more collaboratively than a typical grant might. There will be a lot more sort of involvement with DCBF as we collectively figure out where, what next steps to take each step along the way. And part of that is just because we're starting with a pilot that's been fairly narrow, and we want to be thoughtful and careful about how we take each step to expand it so that it doesn't go too quickly and then be not effective because we haven't been able to manage the growth. So we want to do that collaboratively. The great news is that we have a technology partner who has built the CIR interface. And so that's something that we're separately hosting with the A2J Tech team. They will continue to work with us to build out the functionality. So we'll have both the hosts on sort of the staffing of the CIR and engaging not only with the DC residents, but with the legal service organizations that are receiving referrals. But they'll have a technology partner that will work on building out new functionality, enhancements, and just making improvements along the way. If there are things that aren't working, they're able to get in and adjust them. So the host will not have to have a technology capability beyond having access to the portal through a web interface, basically. So we're really just looking for the host to staff the function and then to really become the point of engagement with the broader community. So I got ahead of myself talking about the technology partner, but I did sort of on both slides. So again, the technology partner will be working alongside the host as we build this out. We know we'll be adding to it because we'll be adding areas of law and other things that will require additional capability and functionality. So we do expect the portal itself to evolve as the host scales up the work that CIR supports, and we'll work to staff that as it grows. We also have a communication consultant that's been working with us on branding in a few other areas. That consultant will continue to work with DCBF and the host to make sure that we're all aligned on sort of the overall outreach and communication strategy. We are looking for the host to have some sort of internal capability to kind of deliver on that. So we will be asking in the RFP for the respondents to describe their current structure to support communications and outreach so that we can make sure that we're going to have the pieces in place to work with our consultant. At this point, again, we're 4 years into the evolution of CIR, but just at the beginning of sort of rolling it out to the broader community. So DCBF will stay very involved to make sure that we can identify any opportunities for funding in the short term while we work with the host to look for long-term sustainability funding. That's something that we are going to ask the respondents to speak to if they have ideas about how to find long-term funding. That will be an important aspect of the proposal. Let me go on to the next slide. I apologize. I'm having to do 2 screens here in order to, for whatever reason, my advance button doesn't advance. Ah, it did. Perfect. All right. So the goal of CIR is not to be what it is today, which is a starting point. Right now, it's focused on just the family law, excluding domestic violence. We don't have a predetermined plan for how quickly we will broaden the areas of law covered, but the long-term vision is for it to be a single point of coordination so that DC residents can reach out to CIR, and we'll figure out how it works with other existing networks collectively. And importantly, though, we want to make sure that CIR just doesn't become another sort of one of many networks. The whole point is for it to be a place that residents can come to and get referred one way or the other to the resources that they'll need. And so in addition to expanding the areas of law, we also have to look at how we communicate that CIR exists to DC residents so they can access it. It had been very narrowly disseminated just through the self-help center at the DC courts and participating providers thus far. So the host is going to need to develop a plan for how CIR is promoted to the community to gin up referrals so that people know directly that they can come directly to CIR and not have to go through a bunch of other resources to get to it. And so those other networks that are there, they've been very helpful to us in thinking through how they've evolved in ways that help us think about volumes. And we will have some information that we'll share in the RFP that we've gotten from them. And we'll continue to work alongside them as we scale up, particularly since we're starting with just one particular area of law. Over time, we'll find that we'll probably need to have really good, clear communications across the network so that DC residents are quickly connected with the resources that they need. I did want to share a little bit about some of the observations that we learned from NLSP earlier, because it's something that we want to make sure the respondents to the RFP are thoughtful about, and that is that we have a very small microcosm right now of 10 providers and the CIR pilot host. But as we broaden this, we'll be bringing in additional providers, both for the existing areas of law covered as well as new areas of law. And as we do that, the host will need to be thoughtful about how we onboard new LSOs and make sure that they're properly structured to support the incoming referrals within the protocols that we've set. So we do have expectations for turnaround time in order to make sure that the people that are reaching out to CIR don't get lost. We want to make sure that they're getting responses not just from CIR, but then from whichever organizations they're referred to. And then that way, if something doesn't end up being a match with that organization, we can quickly get them back out to another one. So we'll have to work with the host. The host will have to work with the service organizations to really make sure that they are properly supporting the referrals coming in from CIR. And then as we broaden the areas covered, the platform itself will need to continue to evolve to support those areas, and then the staff, the navigators will need to be trained to support the additional areas, to understand the additional areas. The staffing plan may need to evolve where you have perhaps specialization. That's something we'll look to the host to think through. But just it's something that we will highlight as an important area for their consideration, and we'll want to hear about it in the proposals that they submit. And then again, speaking back to the growth in volume, really looking to hear from the respondents to the RFP, sort of how they will manage that and make sure that in working closely with the technology partner, that they're able to scale appropriately and support the volume. The technology partner I had mentioned earlier, but there is a phone line, and the phone line is tied into the web-based portal that allows phone calls that if somebody doesn't answer and they leave a voicemail, the voicemail gets transcribed and sent into the system. So it doesn't require somebody to listen to voicemails. It will transcribe them. And that's going to be connected as part of the CIR portal that the host will take on. I mentioned earlier, because technology is carved out, that really this is primarily staffing. So we're wanting to understand from the respondents what is their staffing plan and approach. We describe in the RFP the general structure that we've seen in the pilot that seems to work, having a dedicated project manager at the host, and then navigators who are roles defined to be the point of interface with the DC residents contacting CIR. And we want to make sure that we've got a staffing plan and all the related costs for that. There will be some supporting technology costs, probably just in terms of having, computers that are connected to the internet and basic functionality that way, but you won't need to load anything else on the computers necessarily or have server space or anything like that. We do expect there will be an investment in training, both initially and ongoing, support costs, office and related costs, as well as allocations for rent, utilities, and insurance, and any other anticipated costs. So we're looking for a fairly detailed budget along these terms, and again, we really are expecting this to be largely staffing related and the support costs that support the staff. And then in terms of timeline, we're coming up to November, and by November 4th, we will distribute the solicitation. We will then give 2 weeks to those who have received it to get questions into us. We will then, within a couple weeks, including the Thanksgiving week, turnaround responses. So no later than December 2nd, we'll get those responses out. And then we're looking to get the proposals in on the 20th. So almost 3 full weeks later. Once we have all the proposals in, the DCBF team will review them and identify who the finalists are. We'll reach out to the finalists in mid-January to let them know, but anybody that responds to the RFP, we have in there that they should be prepared for oral presentations that week of January 21st through the 24th, just so that if they are identified as a finalist, they'll be ready. And then ultimately, we hope to be able to announce the selected organization during the week of the February 3rd. So we're getting down to about 90 days, and really looking forward to moving to the next step. So I don't have anything else but a slide that says Q&A, which we can take down and then